So today we're going to talk about the accessory glands of the main reproductive system. We have three main accessory glands. We have the seminal vesicle, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. Now, accessory glands mainly they produce secretions that enhance the quality of sperm and also uh, uh, help the sperm and in increase its activity in the female reproductive tract. So the seminal vesicle in reality is a very tortuous uh, gland. It is around 15 centimeter in length, and as we know by now, it is surrounded by connective tissue capsule, right? So under a microscope, histologically speaking, it would have a mucosa, a submucosa, and a muscularis. So mucosa, so it has a pseudostratified or simple columnar epithelium. So it has both of these epitheliums, and it is rich in secretory granules because of its secretion. So it has three main secretions: fructose, prostaglandins, and fibrogen. So the way I like to remember it is F2P, because it sounds like a formula to me, but it's not real. It's just something that I've made up, like a mnemonic sort of thing, where it secretes F2P. So the first F is for fructose. It is an energy source. It provides the sperm with the energy it needs to penetrate to travel through the female reproductive tract. Then we have the second F for fibrinogen. It helps in the coagulation of semen right after ejaculation, and the P stands for prostaglandin. It again stimulates the activity in the female genital tract. We also see elastic fibers in the lamina propria of the seminal vesicle, and it again has inner circular and the outer longitudinal layer of smooth muscle cells in the seminal vesicle, right? Seminal vesicle, by the way, is an exocrine gland which has a viscid yellowish secretion, and histologically it looks like this because it has highly folded mucosa. Do not confuse this with the uterine tube, all right, because they look very, very similar under the microscope. Because in the lamina propria of seminal vesicle, you actually end up seeing the elastic fibers, right? So the next gland that we're going to talk about is the prostate gland. This is one of the most important glands. The prostate gland surrounds the urethra, the prostatic it surrounds the urethra right under the bladder, and it empties into the prostatic urethra. It is a tubular acinar kind of gland, and it is embedded in a fibromuscular stroma. So because of which it helps in the contraction, as and when the smooth muscle cells contract, the prostate gland also contracts. Now, the prostate gland, like the seminal vesicle, is also lined by the simple pseudostratified columnar epithelium. And what the prostate gland does, it actually produces the prostate specific androgen, which liquefies the coagulated sperm that has been released after ejaculation. So the fibrogen that is released by the seminal vesicle is a coagulant, whereas the prostate-specific enzyme released by the prostate is an anticoagulant, right? Uh, and in older people, if there is a high amount of prostate-specific enzyme, it can lead to prostatic carcinoma. That's more clinical. And then we have corpora amylacea, which is actually a clinical condition where we see uh, like I would say concretions of glycoprotein and keratin sulfate within the lumen of the prostate gland itself, and that would and the condition would be is known as corpora amylacea. Do not confuse it with corpora arancea, which is found in the brain, where we see we see different size concentrations of calcium and magnesium, right? Because corpora amylacea is where we see concretions of glycoproteins and keratin sulfates. So now let's talk about the zones of the urethra. It has three main zones. It has a central zone, a transition zone outer to it, and it has a peripheral zone, the outermost zone. So the central zone is where we see the periurethral submucosal glands, whereas the transition zone, which is between basically the central and the peripheral zone, we end up seeing the upper portion of the urethra as well as we see the periurethral mucosal glands. I will send this presentation so you can have a better look at this picture because this picture also explains what I'm saying very well, and it's a lot easier to visualize, right? And the peripheral zone, the outermost zone, where you end up seeing the main prostate, like the main glands of the prostate along with its ducts. Now, the last but not the least, we have the bulbourethral glands. So now these are just glands that are seen in the urogenital diaphragm. They are part of the penile urethra, and they have said they secrete like mucus, which actually helps coat the urethra to ensure smooth passage of sperm, right? So that's about it. I hope that made sense. Thank you so much.